acknowledge Mr. Ken Pacheco, who's the Chief Operating Officer of the Fall River Public Schools. Thank you, Ken, for attending. Okay, it's my honor to introduce Dr. Matthew Malone, the Superintendent of the Fall River School Department. Dr. Malone is a Marine veteran, received his PhD from Boston College. He brings experience to our schools as Secretary of Education, Commonwealth of Mass from 2013 through 2015, former Superintendent in Brockton and the town of Swampscott. He is a mission-driven leader with a strong set of core values, a record of results, a commitment to justice, a skill for strategic thinking and problem solving. That's pretty good, huh? An ethic of hard work, a heart, there's more, a heart that maintains that people, not things, are the center of the work, a belief that students always come first, a passion for service, and a willingness to exceed expectations. It is my honor to introduce Dr. Matthew Malone.
It's an honor and privilege to be here. Rep. Silva's late getting back from the Hill, so he will be here, and I look forward to seeing him when he comes. I will say that when I was secretary, he was one of my favorite state reps. He was very engaged, he cared about his community, and when I got this job, he was the first person that I called. I love seeing him, and I'll tell you why. He's a little bit taller than me, so we got the height thing going. But he's a Marine. You know, it's if I get him and Representative Schmidt, I think they're the only two in the entire Hill for Marine veterans. So to have a Secretary of Education who's also a Marine veteran, it was great to be able to do some Veterans Day events correlated with education when I was Secretary. The one word that you mentioned is a word that I don't get to use in my regular day job, and that word is justice. But because I am in the basement of a church, I can use terms like justice. Let me throw in a couple more. Character and virtue. Now, those are Catholic school terms you don't hear us talk about in public education, right? But that's what we do in schools. So last week I actually publicly stated that our mission, when we're talking about what we do in our school system, our mission is to build young men and women of character, integrity, and virtue. People that believe in justice, believe in service, and then help to make their communities great. So those are the kinds of things that we believe in the Fall River Public Schools. And those are the kind of core values that this community, in all my interactions, really seem to state. It's in everything we do. It's palpable. We believe in hard work. We believe in effective effort. And quite frankly, we have the greatest people in education are working in our schools. Now, we get a lot of bad media, right? Sometimes the press says some bad things about us. But I ask, have you ever been and visited our schools? And if you haven't, you need to. Because the work that's happening in our schools is phenomenal. And it's not necessarily sometimes what you read in the paper. I'll tell you what I saw the other day. And I'll talk a little bit about this, but right now we're on the path to build a brand new Durfee High School. And I'll tell you why we need it in a second. But the other night, I got 50 adults, teachers, administrators, staff, and 10 students. And they spent 4 hours from 3 to 7 o'clock working on visioning what they want to see in the new high school. They didn't do that just for one night and walked away. They did it one night, 1 week, and then 2 weeks later they did another night, and then next week we're going to have our third. Not one of those people gets paid to do that. Not one of them. They do this because they care about the future of this community. And that's the kind of employees that we have. Those that go above and beyond after a long day, getting there at 7, doing the hard work, learning and teaching in classrooms. They give their time, effort, and energy because they care about kids. We are a student-centered organization. The heart of our work is what happens in class. 17 school sites in this city. We're serving currently 10,275 students. We serve almost that in lunches daily. We also serve that in breakfast as well. The new norm is essentially that we have some sort of activity going almost 12 months out of the year through the summer. We serve students that are in advanced placement classes going to Harvard, to students that are in challenging situations and just need a chance and a break to be able to be helpful, productive members of society. We serve anyone who comes to our door. We love all our kids as if they were our own. That's what we do. I'll tell you this right now. One of the things that excites me about Fall River is that I work for a school committee that works as a team to meet the needs of kids. That's not the normal in most places. Our school committee works together with our mayor to ensure that we spend the public dollar, your investment taxes, responsibly and thoughtfully to improve student achievement. School committee, it's an honor for me to work for them. We're really doing great work. I talked to you about the new Durfee High School in terms of, I got this building that was built in the late 60s or early 70s. When was it built, Ken? 70s. I don't know about you guys, but who remembers the 70s? So I was born in 1970. The buildings that we built in the 70s don't last 40 years, but the buildings we built in 1890, like the Watson School, is going to last forever. And it's a beautiful place. And you can refurbish it, and you can make it cool and shine and look good. But the buildings that we built in the 70s, you can't do anything with them because they're concrete shells. No light, windows that don't open, not good air, and they're all dark. And guess what? They're not safe. So we got this building that was built in the 1970s that we wish could last for a long time, but the building's falling apart. It does not meet the needs of learning in 21st century. It lacks all of the things that good schools in the 21st century have. Places for teachers to collaborate, flexibility, integration, flow, synergy. And guess what? It costs a ton of money to maintain. We're wasting money maintaining Durfee right now. We know this when it was built. It wasn't built design well. There's newspaper articles that said, there's all sorts of problems when they built this building. So Durfee has been a building that's sitting there that parents look at and kids look at and go, I don't know if I want to send my kid there. What happens inside the building is amazing. The teachers do a great job, and the kids that are there are doing a wonderful job. But the building itself, to maintain and keep that building safe and operating, is a losing proposition. So we have an opportunity at this moment in time where we apply for something called the School Building Authority program to build a new Durfee High School. It's the largest building project on the map right now for high schools in the Commonwealth. 2,200 kids, big school, comprehensive in nature. We work with the state, the School Building Authority, to look at what are the options. Can we renovate this building? Do we need to build new? Or can we do a combination of both to save money? And the answer is, right now, we've been fortunate that the state has said, hey, we like what's going on in Fall River. We support the design of a new building. So we were accepted into the building, into the design phase of this project. And right now our architects and project managers are working with us to design and envision what a new Durfee High School would actually look like, where it would sit, how much will it cost. Here's the kicker. Because we are the great city of Fall River, the project that we were accepted into is an 80% reimbursement of total cost. The state would pay 80% of our new building. We have to pay 20%. That's still a lot of money. But guess what? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for this city. So we're in this phase right now, we're studying, looking at options, and then we'll bring back to the community in the next 6 or so months some plans of ideas based on all the work we're doing about where it would be located, what it would look like, what do we keep to renovate, and then what do we build new. And we're looking at this opportunity as an honorable investment of the public dollar. And why is that so critical? What's the cornerstone of democracy? People. But what makes America great? We're the only country in the world that does it. Free public education. Free public education, the cornerstone of democracy. Our moral responsibility is to our residents, to the children and communities that we serve. Either we think about having an amazing new facility that will be here for a long time to come and meet the needs of the 21st century, or to continue to say, we're going to educate kids in this unsafe, inferior building, and then question the results that we're getting. This opportunity that we have in front of us is a moral proposition. We invest in the future of Fall River, and in turn, Fall River invests in us back. Who's going to take care of us when we get up in age? The kids we have in school right now. America is built on us investing in the future. The opportunity we have before us is a bold one. It's going to require some sacrifice. I don't know the mechanism yet about how we pay for that 20%, but I don't want anyone in this room to hear, oh, we have to pay 20%, and say, I'm not for that. Because you must be for it if you're for Fall River. 10,275 kids. The kids that we currently have in our middle school will graduate from that new building. The kids that are in our elementary school will make that new building hum. And guess what we're going to do? We're also going to have community access to the facilities. Why? Because this is your tax dollars, and you have a place in that facility as well. The architects are being really cool right now, thinking about the old Durfee. Who went to the old Durfee? Is that not the most beautiful building on earth? How do we make the new Durfee look like the old Durfee? And then how, when you walk into the new Durfee, how does it make you feel about the tradition and history in this system? It should feel like a museum. But a museum like Times Square with all sorts of lights and panel displays, but then actual artifacts and maps and photos of the old city. We're going to preserve that history in the new building. It's going to be a real focal point of the city. So having said all that, what are my challenges? Oh, we're always challenged by money, so I'm not going to bring that up. What are our challenges? Our community is one that's very diverse. We're experiencing a large increase in second language learners. So those are newcomers to the country. We're working on how do we best meet the needs of second language learners so we get them to English proficiency much more quickly than 1 year of growth for 1 year of seat time, called accelerated learning. So we're working on that. We're also challenged by growth in student population. We've actually increased by over 100 kids from this year over last year. I think we'll see that growth. That will challenge us because I got to make sure I get class sizes down low at the elementary level. School committee's made that a priority in our budgeting process. We're challenging that we live in the 21st century, and thank God we have our partners from the police here who do amazing work. But you know, this year we've had some crises that we've dealt with, and we've handled those well, I think, and that's because we have great partnerships with the police. But we're going to take on the challenges that we have, and we're going to be honest about it. We're going to keep saying, how can we do better? How can we meet the needs tomorrow that we couldn't meet today? Our goal is that we want all kids prepared and ready for college or career. And it doesn't have to be either or, because it can be both, and it should be both. And that's what the work is that we're working on. I need your help. We have several programs where we have volunteers coming into our schools to work with kids. Smiles is a mentoring program. We have a step grandparent program is another one. These programs are wonderful opportunities for local residents to come help in our schools. We need your help. We can't do this alone. And then the other thing is, if you have problems, let's say you live next door to a school, you got kids cutting across your yard or something like that. You pick up the phone, you call me. We're going to fix your problems. We want to be good neighbors. We want to be responsive to your needs. So I just want to say we're all in this together. This isn't, we work for the schools and we think, you know, residents of the city that don't have kids or that don't matter. That's not true. We are all partners and equals in this work. So those are some kind of comments. I don't know what else I should say. And then I'll answer some questions. But is there anything else that you want me to talk about that I haven't addressed yet? Yes?
What's the time frame?
For new high school? So if all went as planned, we would open a new high school in 2021. So right now, we're 4 years up. We gotta go through the design phase, the permitting phase, and then the build phase. The hard part is going to school, running the school at the same time as they're completing the building. Preliminary location options are on the current site, but you know where the football field is? Like around on Ellsbury. So we'll kind of wrap around the football field, and then we can keep the field house and pool as is, because the state doesn't reimburse for those things. And then that would kind of put front and center on the main drag, the front of the building. You know, so those are options, but we're also looking at other sites. None of it's been decided yet, but those would be the most cost effective.
Are you taking houses over by eminent domain?
No, I don't, no, that's not on the table.
Superintendent?
Who wants to take your house over? Oh, I know why you're asking, the answer is no.
Superintendent?
Yes.
What would be forward of as approximate cost in regards to the 20% you're talking about?
It's an 80-20 split. It doesn't necessarily, it's an 80-20 split of reimbursable expenses. So if all, let's say we're looking at right now, people have been using the figure 200 million total cost.
So it'd be 40 million to Fall River.
Yes. Now, that's if everything worked out. Of course, everything doesn't work out always as planned, and maybe there's something that we want that's not reimbursable by the state. It could be up or down on that, but that's about what that's kind of the percentages that we're looking at. But labor costs keep going up. We don't know what kind of ledge is there yet. Those are all the things. They're trying to figure all those things out now because that determines total cost. Here's something that's interesting. The current Durfee High School was built for, I think, 4,000 kids. It's, in terms of square footage, the new Durfee High School will be smaller than the old Durfee High School, or the current Durfee High School. Reason being, it was designed for more kids, but also there's a ton of dead space. Like hallways as big as this downtown or downstairs church with nothing in it, this open space that just wasn't designed well. Again, 1970s folks. I don't know what they were thinking. Yes, sir.
We have a firm commitment by the state to this. The reason I ask that is because the new Secretary of Education being vetted is definitely a component of charter schools. Is that going to change in 4 years, or do we have a firm commitment by the state, whether we go next year, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I don't mean to, sometimes I give it like a civics lesson. So the federal government has no authority over state priorities in education. They have an accountability role, not in the school design role. So the funding of schools like this project comes through the House and the Senate. It's managed by the Treasurer's office. So there's no executive authority from the governor to the president for the MSBA. It was purposely set up that way to take politics out of it. So the money is good. The commitment is there. If we go through the process and meet their demands, meaning the timelines to get all the paperwork submitted. But they're running it, their project managers are. The new, so as the former Secretary of Education for the Commonwealth, I had no authority whatsoever on the school building authority. It's a separate quasi-public private entity. And it's got its own board outside of elected officials. So this is my opinion, it's bulletproof in terms of their integrity. Really, really wonderful way it's structured. It takes any sort of nonsense out of it. Yes, sir.
According to statements on Monday that I have with the Neighborhood Association, Mayor Correa stated that the plan for the school is an academic tower built in the middle of the school with the current building serving as an outlying area, kind of like a flower. There will be an approximate $40,000 need for a debt exclusion, which is a polite way of saying we're going to do a 2.5 cut around without doing a 2.5 override. It will result in about $60 to each taxpayer in the city of Fall River. The issue I have is we're looking at a school system, and I speak from experience, that has failed systemically. My children, myself, I actually had to go to school in another city because the system here failed. My children were not having their needs met under their IEPs and other programs. And you expect me as a taxpayer to say, support this new school because we need it. Yes, we need a new school. We need a new school system that is actually going to work diligently on making sure children's needs are met. And I can't see an investment in a system that has proven over the years that they can't even maintain their own buildings. This building should not be in the condition it's in now from the 1970s. And that's because when it started, there was huge cost overruns, payback. People went to jail because of this. So you're telling me a $200,000 or $220,000, whatever the number may be.
200 million.
Okay, 200 million, excuse me. You want me to say, okay, here's another 40 because you're going to get 160 from the state. But you don't even know if you're going to get it because, again, every time I've heard MSBA come up, they won't pay for refurbishments in this manner. And I know that they don't pay for the pool, and we don't pay for the field house, and we won't pay for the auditorium. And we have the largest auditorium in the state.
Yep.
So
your points are well taken, sir. So let me just say this: you and I don't know each other. I can't fix the past.
Actually, we do. You just don't know.
But I can't fix the past.
Oh, I know.
I've been here 7 months. I'm telling you, have faith in the system. We're fixing things. We're going to build your trust back. It's going to take a while. We're going to build your trust back.
I come from a family that has been in your position even in the school system.
Yeah.
And I know it's not easy.
But
But again, the people who have children in the system are feeling frustrated because their children's needs aren't being met. And I know the frustration because I used to have to fight tooth and nail just to be sure that my children received a proper education. To the point that I sent my last child to a Catholic school because they weren't providing for her. So it becomes very difficult for me as a taxpayer and as a citizen to say, yeah, I'm going to give you another $40 million. And then to say, yeah, we're going to do it as a debt exclusion so I don't have any say and my tax is going to go up for the next 40 years.
So I don't know what the mechanism is that's going to be made by the city side in terms of how it's funded. There's going to be a ton of conversations about that. All I'm saying to you is the current building is...
Oh, it was no good the day it opened.
So, it's not good. We'll work with you to get more faith in the system. I'm telling you right now, every day I cover something new. They say, why are we doing that? It's fix it. Every day we're having conversations. So we're trying to be much more service support, much more supportive, meet the needs of all kids, be much more human, be much more kind. We're trying to do those things right now. And believe me, the interactions that we're having, we're feeling pretty good about making progress in those areas. So I appreciate your comments. Anyone else?
You know that the current building, way back when in the 70s, everything went out to the lowest bidder,
Right.
and now we're paying for it.
Yeah, this is true. It's not now you're paying for it. You were paying for it 20 years ago. But I mean, you know, pipe burst, things. I mean, it's just not. It wasn't invested. You know.
And
Again, why did our grandparents and great grandparents build such beautiful school buildings that last forever? You know what I mean? I can't figure it out.
The football field was built on a swamp,
Yeah.
and they left the stumps in, and of course it's sunk. And now you say you're planning to build around the
For the
football field?
football field where it's located now, it's actually been redone, so it's perfect. So that whole parking lot area there, that's what I'm talking about. The front parking lot. On Ellsbury.
That was a swamp.
Yeah, well, that's why we had to go over more things and go down there and figure out what's buildable and what isn't. I am not a geophysicist, but we got like geophysicists working on it, like engineers doing that. What else? Yes,
Are you taking questions not related to the new school?
yes,
Okay. Are you planning on doing a zero-based budget?
Yes.
You do?
yeah, what do you know about zero-based budget?
Okay, very good.
What do you know about that?
I like it. I like the idea. It's accountable. It's
You
accountability.
see Kevin Chico over there? I made him read a book that was, if you ever have a hard time sleeping, you gotta get this book, because it will put you to sleep. I made him read a book. The only book ever written about zero-based budgeting was written in like 1971. And I'm a big zero-based budget guy. I've done zero-based budgeting a lot. It's very complex. We started the process. We have each one of our schools right now zero-based in their individual budgets. Then we're going to work on the overarching budget. I'll bring that forward to the school committee at the March school committee meeting. It will be a zero-based budget. I'm trying to get as close as possible to the actual state numbers that the governor came out with called House One. And if we can do that, I think we can be pretty successful. It's a conservative budget. It'll be very conservative. And hopefully it will be close.
Good.
Yeah, but when you do zero base, you get rid of all your waste. You gotta rationalize every single dollar. There's accountability. It freaks people out. They don't like it. They don't like it, but it works. Yes, ma'am. I know you, yes. Yes.
So I have a couple of things I want to address. I don't know if we want to stick to the Durfee building
No, we can
first,
talk
and
about
then we can move to something else. As far as the Durfee building, I just want people to be cognizant about accessibility, because over the summer, we had an issue where the parent center was moved to a new location at Durfee, and I showed up with my son, and I can't get in the building with him. They moved it to a location that didn't have an access, no ramps, step up. I couldn't get inside the building for me to access what I need to access for his education. So there has to be some planning involved. I realize with a new building that there's guidelines that need to be followed, but those are bare minimum, requirements. I really would like there to be more of a, thought process of where their, special education classrooms are located, that they're not, off in their own separate wing, separate from the rest of the school community. It would be nice to have not only an accessible building, but a building that is set up so that these students can be an integral part of inclusion. But the problem is that the mentality in the district is not anywhere near close to what.
That's changing. I'm telling you right now, that's changing. So when we move that facility to where it is now, we probably moved a week too soon. Because within a week,